Welcome back. I am your guy Resla, and this is gonna be a little bit of a video. I want to talk a little bit about something that's pretty close to a lot of us, or at least has been in some of our thoughts at some point or another, and that's about friendships. More specifically, I'm thinking of the question: do we really know how to be friends anymore? It's something I've really been mulling over a bit lately, and I think of the decline in deep friendships, most meaningful ones that are happening with us. You know, those friendships where you know that you feel seen, you know that you're heard and you're really understood. The conversations where you could talk about pretty much anything without the fear of judgment, without feeling like you said the wrong thing. The ones that really require the real trust. And it seems like those kind of relationships are really hard to come by these days. And I wonder why sometimes. Is it like social media? Is it something that we're doing? Is it just because we just find ourselves too busy to maintain friendships? Is it that friendships are just no longer our priority? Or maybe we just have new priorities that have shifted. I think in this video, I'm just going to think about it and just really break that down. And I hope this sparks a little bit of reflection when it comes to how you look at this. So, on what it means to truly be there for someone. Hmm. And whether we're losing that style, that skill, and how to actually become a friend. I guess I'll think about it in the idea of this rising in the superficial friendships. Because the first thing I could think about is just the obvious elephant in the room, and that's social media. And there's no denying it. Social media has completely revamped and reshaped the way that we connect with everybody. At first glance, it seems like we're more connected than ever before, right? I mean, I get to like my friends' photos. I get to shoot them a DM if I really want to. I get to comment on their stories. But is that really the same as having a real in person conversation? Or what about those really nice, long, thoughtful phone calls? I think a lot of us have fallen into this trap when it comes to following someone online equates to maintaining a friendship. But how many times have you scrolled through someone's feed and you see what someone is up to and you thought, damn, I should really check up. And then how many of you actually do? I think that we're confusing this passive consumption of media for real interactions. And I think that's where things are really starting to fall apart. And don't even get me started on this whole damn idea of friends list. And you know what I mean. Like most of us have hundreds of friends online, but let's just be honest. How many of you, if it really mattered, if you really actually needed to talk to someone, you would reach out to any of those people? I don't know about you, but for me, that list is pretty damn short. And I think that illusion of connection is a rather dangerous one. It makes us feel like we're staying close when in reality, we're drifting further and further apart. I think I should really address this whole idea of loneliness. You know, the loneliness in this age of connection. Because this might get a little personal. When I think of people, especially as we are here in our life and we go through all these connections, a lot of us are really more isolated. And that leads to loneliness. It's crazy, but despite all the tools that we have to quote, stay connected, studies are pretty much showing that we feel lonely and we've been lonelier than ever before. Think about it for a second. We got phones, we got tablets, we have laptops, we can do Zoom, we can do FaceTime, and yet there's this growing sense of isolation. Why is that? And I think part of the problem is that we're just so damn busy. And there's some good reason for it. We have work, we got family, some of us got side hustles, Some of us get into our self-care routines. The point that I'm making is that we're constantly juggling stuff. And I think that friendships, especially the deep ones, they take time. They take energy. They take effort. And when was the last time you just really sat down with a friend? No distractions, no agendas, just catching up. I'm talking about the kind of conversations where you share your fears, your dreams, and those things that keep you up at night. I think those talks are very rare now. I think we're always on the go. We're always distracted, always rushing to the next thing. And friendships have basically become one of those things we feel guilty about because for some reason we never seem to have enough time for them. And honestly, I wonder if we've kind of accepted that. Like, we've just decided that deep, meaningful friendships are a thing of the past. Something that we only do or only allowed to have in high school or even in college. And now we replace that. We replace the quality of friendships with the quantity. Thinking that if we have a big enough circle, that will feed the feeling of loneliness. But the truth is, no amount of Instagram likes or how many people are sitting in your group chats can really replace intimate connections. I also think that there's a struggle to maintain friendships as adults. And let's just be honest, guys. Maintaining friendships as an adult, it's not a joke. And it's really difficult. People get married, people have kids, people move away. And then suddenly you notice that your social life looks completely different than how it used to be. It's really hard to coordinate schedules. I think it's harder to meet up. And sometimes it just feels easier to let shit fall to the side. Here's the thing though. If we don't learn to prioritize those relationships, those friendships, they will, of course, fade. I know, for one, I am guilty of this. And sometimes I just have the thoughts to myself, and you begin to tell yourself, we'll catch up later. I will reach out to them when I am less busy. But when does that less busy time actually happen? And there's this whole awkwardness of trying to rekindle those friendships, especially the ones that have gone cold. It's like you don't want to come off as desperate, but deep down, you kind of miss the mofo. I've had moments where I've scrolled through my contacts and thinking, man, I used to really like having the dope conversations with them. What the hell happened? And it's not always anyone's fault. Sometimes life just happens. But if we don't really make the effort, those friendships, they do die. And that's the truth. I'll go back to asking the question I asked way early. Are we losing the art of having true friendships? Are we losing the skill of being friends? And I hate to say it, but maybe. I mean, when we think about friendships these days, some of them, they feel kind of transactional. We expect friendships to become convenient, like pretty much anything else in life. But the real deep friendships, come on, they're messy. They take a part of you because you have to learn to become vulnerable. And I'm not sure that most of us are willing to put ourselves in the position to go through that anymore. I wonder if we've become so guarded, too afraid of rejection. Or maybe, just maybe, we've become so focused on self-improvement and self-care that we've lost sight of what it means to take care of someone else. I mean, think about it. How often do you make time for your friends when there's no benefit to you? When it's just about being there for someone else? And isn't that what a real friendship is supposed to be about? Showing up when it's inconvenient, listening when you're tired, putting in the effort even when life is getting in the way. I think we're losing sight of that. It's not because we don't care. I think it's because we've forgotten how. So how do we go about building deep connections, especially as we age? I think it's is something that gets more and more difficult as we get older. And the next thing you know, we notice that time is slipping away. And the friendships that we haven't nurtured start to feel really distant. And we know it happens gradually. We're so focused on all the other things in life, career, kids, managing our own shit, that those friendships, especially the ones that we think should be really meaningful to us, we start putting them on the backseat. Let's just be honest for a moment. The older we get, the harder it is to make time for those friendships, those friends, for the people in our lives that we feel really matter to us. But also, as we age, we also start to realize just how precious time is. I've noticed it, and maybe you've noticed it too. That realization that your circle's getting smaller. And maybe not necessarily because people have drifted away, but because maybe some people have passed away. Or there's people who moved away, maybe, and you just lose touch. I think you find yourself looking back and thinking, when was the last time I really connected with my friends? When did we stop having those heart to heart conversations? And be honest, let's go beyond friendships, your loved ones, your family. As we get older, we start to recognize that the time with people who really matter the most to us becomes limited. And that's our responsibility to make up for, to make the most of it. Here's the thing though, just because we're getting older doesn't mean that it's too late to build on our friendships or rebuild the ones that we feel have gone distant. In fact, I think if you're noticing that this is probably your perfect time to really take the time and focus on those connections. But we all know that it's going to require attention and, of course, intention. If you feel like your relationships are feeling more surface level right now, or if you feel like you've become disconnected from your friends, the people that you used to be really close with, then perhaps you're really feeling this one. And I guess we should really talk about how exactly do we go about in a practical way of rekindling those deep bonds? How do we go about reconnecting with old friends? I think the hardest part is taking the first step. I think that we think it's been so long since we really even talked. And I think that it would feel awkward if we reached out. But even just saying, I think if we're being honest, most people are in the same boat. I think that they also feel like the relationship is slid. So how do we go about rebuilding? I think for the most part, don't overthink it. I don't think we really need a grand reason to reach out to somebody. I think it can be really as simple as, hey, I've been thinking about you lately and I want to catch up. And I think just keeping it light, keeping it open, just letting the conversation flow naturally, the best way to go about it. I think you'd be surprised how many people might be grateful for the fact that you just took the initiative. Also, don't expect to dive right into those real deep conversations. I think we just need to establish that comfortable rhythm again. Just bullshit. Talk about life. Talk about what's new. Talk about stupid memories that you remember. I think as we build trust and become, familiar again, I think those deep conversations will just become more and more apparent. But I think the key, of course, is showing up again and again and again. I mean, the point is just consistency. Can't be a once or twice thing, and that's about it. I mean, even if it does seem like you're the one who's doing it, because maybe they're just looking at it as a one or twice thing too, and you have to really show that you really want this, and that means prioritizing time with your loved ones. I think we've all got huge responsibilities. So we got jobs, we have obligations, we have families. But if we really want to keep those connections with those friends, it's going to require us in our presence. And it's easy to get caught up in life's mess, and we find ourselves being too busy again. And it seems like we didn't learn the hard way that this is not something that we want to do. So that means that we need to make sure that we are taking care of the people that we really want in our lives, because if not, we might tend to regret it later. I think instead of waiting for us to have free time, I think we just need to be the type of people that if you have to have it like this, schedule it out. Schedule it out. Make it important as a commitment. And if that's not something you can say you can do because maybe you're one of the people that you pen shit down and then something happens along the way and all of a sudden you're changing your plans. And again, it doesn't even need to be a big event. It could be something really small, like maybe once a week you get coffee. Maybe you do a video chat once a week because you live far away. Or how about just an actual phone call? Not that texting BS. I think the point is to be intentional. Oh, while I'm talking about the whole idea of presence, right? Let's talk about taking away the media aspect of it, the digital aspect of it. Because when you're with somebody, be with them. Put the phone down. Be present in the moment. I think that we're so much in believing that we're multitaskers, that we want to check our messages, we want to look at our emails, we're checking out all our socials. But if you really want to build that deep relationships, you got to give them your full attention. It's a simple thing to do, and it makes a huge, huge difference. Think about the last time someone really listened to you without any distractions. How did it make you feel? Isn't that the kind of connection that we're aiming for? And speaking that the connections we're aiming for, what about making new friends as adults? Because I run into adults who they have some friends. They don't really want to make new friends because let's just go in the idea of high school and college. You know, it seems like a daunting task to make new friends, especially as adults. Last time I made friends was when I was in my 20s and I was in college, and now you're at work. Well, you have colleagues, do you not? Or you can meet people doing shared activities. It's not too late just because you're at an older age. It's because if you don't, you're going to find that your opportunities begin to shrink. I know it's uncomfortable, but you got to put yourself in a new social setting. And it doesn't need to be something that's you should fear. Here's the thing, if we don't make the effort, we're only going to find ourselves in a position to start becoming more and more isolated. And for some people want to be hermits, but I think for most people, we don't want to be. And that means building new connections as we age. And that means it requires you getting out of your comfort zone. It means joining a local group or taking up a hobby or even reconnecting with people who are acquaintances that you would like to get to know a little bit better. I think one of the best ways that I've found in building new relationships is just to be proactive and just suggesting plans. And instead of saying, you know what, we should hang out sometime, how about suggesting that, hey, saying something like, what are you doing Saturday? Let's grab lunch. Let's do brunch. Let's do dinner. Let's hang out. I mean, it sounds simple, but I think it might work. I think people will just appreciate the initiative. And next thing you know, before you know it, this person who was an acquaintance just might become a close friend. I think the key is just not to wait and to make the first move. Don't expect them to just make the first move. And I think that's pretty much it. I hope that this conversation really helps you reflect on your family, on your friends, and maybe even inspire you to take the next step, whether it's reaching out to an old friend or spending more time with those you actually do have as friends, or making new connections. If you managed to enjoy this video, do me a favor, guys, and subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video and leave a comment. I want you to share your actual thoughts. Do you think that we can build deeper friendships as we get older? Let's talk about it. I guess until next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of those people that you actually love. See you then.